I feel so fucking alive, guy.
Yeah.
I got in sleep the last week, dude, and I'm like, I'm on fire, bro. I was like pacing in the house, and I'm like, yo, Miss Bunny, like I gotta, my wife, I'm like, yo, I gotta like relax. Maybe I don't need this much sleep because I was like fucking just wired this week, bro. Even
That's
today.
Good. That's really good.
I was, yeah.
Challenge,
So,
guy.
Thank you, guy. Welcome back to Idiot Squared. Quite possibly the most open-minded podcast in the world, where two fucking morons are just trying to figure this shit out.
Well said, guy. Yes, we are.
How much sleep do you get per night, would you say?
So I typically go to bed at about 8:30 p.m. and I wake up at 4:30 a.m. So what's that? 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 8 hours a night.
Nice. And do you do anything to prepare for sleep?
Absolutely.
What is it that you do?
So I'll make sure that I eat as often as I can. Sometimes because my schedule's a bit varied. Sometimes I'm not as perfect at this, but I try and eat before the sun sets as my last meal. So I try not to go to bed on a full stomach. I'll have a warm shower 30 to 45 minutes before bed. I'll typically take some magnesium an hour or 40 minutes before bed as well, between 600 and 1,000 milligrams. No, 6,000, yeah. Between 600 and 1,000 milligrams of magnesium. I try to make my last meal turkey or turkey's predominantly the main meal that I have for the tryptophan content in there. Tryptophan is essential for building melatonin. Melatonin helps with sleep, puts you to sleep, keeps you to sleep kind of thing. But yeah, typically I'll eat before sunset, have that magnesium about an hour before, then I have a warm shower between an hour and 45 minutes before bed. I then use noise-canceling headphones, but turned off, so that there's no noise canceling, but just off. I'll put them on, and I have a silk eye mask like this.
Wow, super interesting. Okay.
And I use that as well. And then my routine before bed is I will either read something that I'm interested in at the current time, or I will write down the 3 most important things that I need to do the next day. So I use it as sort of like, before I go to bed, I use it to download what's on my mind or what's important for me the next day. And then typically I'll meditate right before bed. So I'll lie with my eyes closed with my eye mask on and the headphones over my ears. And I will, meditate, essentially practice my breath work. So I practice some sigh breath, so double inhale, and then an exhale, in through the nose and then out through the mouth. And then I practice box breathing as well, which is like a 5-second inhale, a 5-second hold, a 5-second exhale, and a 5-second hold. For some people, 4 seconds works pretty well, but for me, 5 is what I find the most relaxing. And I'll just practice that. So I get myself into a very calm and relaxed state. And then one other thing that I do pretty frequently, just because of the benefits for it, is I will take a nice inhale and I hold it. And then as I exhale, I feel, imagine, and see in my mind my toes, my feet, and my ankles relaxing, just melting into the bed. And then I do the same for my legs, and I do the same for my hips, and I do the same for my core and my chest and my back and my shoulders and my arms and my hands and my neck and my head and my face. And I'd go through the whole body. And by the time I do that, guy, I literally don't remember finishing. I just...
Wow, dude.
It's really good. Really, really good. But I typically now, because when I was a lot bigger, I used to struggle with sleep a little bit because of the size with the sleep apnea. But since then, since losing a fair bit of muscle or downsizing and then using these practices, I pretty much wake up in the exact same position that I went to sleep in every night. And I sleep so deep, it is beyond crazy. It is, and it is a superpower. Sleep is your daily dose of repair. If you don't get deep sleep, your body cannot repair things appropriately. It'll do bodge jobs and it'll make do with what it can. But when you are in deep sleep, your body can truly repair things. And so I think that leads to like poor quality sleep or inadequate sleep or less than ideal amounts of sleep can lead to like lots of little error codes building up in the body. What about you?
Sorry, I just want to go through each thing that you mentioned.
Okay.
And then, so magnesium you mentioned.
Yep.
What is the intention consuming the magnesium? It was 1,200 milligrams?
6 to 1,000 typically milligrams. And that's at the nighttime. I also use hydration things during the day. So I'll drink magnesium, sodium, potassium, calcium during the day as well. But the magnesium, I've just found that like the amount of activity that I do, the amount of sweating that I do, if I don't supplement with it, my sleep quality isn't as good. But when I do supplement with the magnesium, I personally see an improvement in my sleep quality. So I enjoy that. I don't do it every single night, but I do it in cycles. So if I'm training harder or I've got more output or I'm doing lots of cognitive work, then I'll supplement with the magnesium. And if I'm pretty chill and relaxed and not really doing a whole lot, like I don't see a need for it, so to speak. But I definitely notice when I do use it, my sleep quality does improve.
How do you find using the eye covers? Like, how long did it take you to get used to that?
I was straight away, but it's an interesting thing. So the reason I use an eye mask is because the human skin is transparent. All right. So do you have your phone with you? Turn your flashlight on and hold your hand in front of the flashlight up to the camera. Yeah, close your fingers as much as you can. Yeah. See how the light still comes through?
Yeah.
Skin? It's like pink.
Yeah.
So human skin is transparent. And even if you have your eyes closed, if there are photons in your room bouncing around, those photons will hit your light cones in your eyes, and they will essentially stop you from getting down into those deep phases of sleep. And so at nighttime, we want the absence of light. The absence of light signals is one of the signals that lets our body know that it's nighttime and that we should sleep. And that's why when you wake up in the morning, getting sunlight in your eyes, first thing is so important for signaling to your body to wake up and to start producing the hormones and the signaling that we need for the day to be alive and awake. Yeah. And at nighttime, we want the exact opposite of that. We want the absence of light. So we want to try and get as dark as we possibly can. So that's what that eye mask does. By having that eye mask on, I can almost guarantee that my eyes or my light cones won't have any photons hitting them whilst I'm trying to sleep. So it allows me to get into a very deep state of sleep. Now, I didn't have any problem getting used to it because I wanted it to work and I understood why I was using it. So it was never an option for me not to like it. I was doing it because it stopped photons touching my eye. And so regardless of if I didn't like it, I was making myself do it.
That's dope, dude. I'm actually going to look into this. You sold me on the idea. I like it.
How about I will put together a little sleep protocol.
Okay.
And then we'll fudge it. We can put it up on our on the YouTube. We'll share it, and we can put it up. When we make a website, we'll put it up on the website for everybody to have as a download as well.
Yo, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yo, good
it's
idea,
legit.
guy.
And so random stuff about sleep that not many people know, right? So if you have inadequate sleep or too short a duration, so like less than 7 or 6.5 to 7 hours sleep, or you have poor quality sleep 2 nights in a row. When you wake up on that third day, you can wake up pre-diabetic and insulin resistant just from inadequate sleep, not to do with anything that you ate, just because your sleep quality was bad. So sleep quality is so important for health. It's so important for repairing your body, but it's also so important for your body composition and your sensitivity to insulin. Bonkers, right? Not only that, it controls so many of your hunger hormones, like the hormones that drive hunger or make you feel as if you're hungry. So yeah, sleep is a superpower. If you can get good quality sleep, it's a game changer.
Yeah, I agree. I'm big on sleep too, although I don't get as much as I should.
Well, you haven't been, but you are now.
I am now, and I'm getting on like a good schedule, and I will actually benefit greatly from any suggestions you have, because I would like to improve my sleep to like the maximum level. You know what I mean? Like I would enjoy doing it, and I think that I should do it, because you mentioned a lot of things that I don't do. The one thing I do is I stopped looking at light, like from my cell phone, before I go to bed. Like I won't look at my phone. But I'm working pretty much up until I go to sleep. So, I mean, it doesn't make that much of a difference, because like I'm not giving myself enough time. However, you know, one step at a time. But I have been getting between 6 and 8 every night this week, which is really rare for me. It's the first week in a long time that I've been that consistent, but I want to get it to 8 every night.
Yeah. Well, so the numbers are not arbitrary, but they're not as important as a lot of people put emphasis on. It's what makes you feel good. All right. And so if you feel fantastic at 6.5, then that's you. If you feel fantastic at 7, that's you. If you feel fantastic at 8, awesome. And it's also sort of proportional to the amount of repair your body has to do. So people that train a lot or are trying to build a lot of muscle are going to have to sleep a bit more, because sleeping is when you're essentially doing the building. It's when you're repairing and recovering from all of the things. So you mentioned light, which is really important. Okay, so the screen light, I mentioned like when you're trying to get to sleep at nighttime, you want the opposite of lots of light. You want darkness. But there's also another hack with the type of light you get. So what gives light its color is the length of the wave. All right. And so different wavelengths we perceive as different colors. And so blue light is typically associated like with producing alertness and cortisol or waking you up, whereas red light does not. Okay, so red light is a different wavelength of light. And so at nighttime, if you do want to have some light on, red light is the ideal light for you to have. And you can get filters for your screen, like blue blockers, or you can get like nighttime mode on iPhones. And I think they have it on Android now as well, where it takes away a lot of the blue light and it puts red light. And so that's another handy tip. But also at nighttime, if you do want to have some lights on, if you have red globes, those red globes will not stimulate those light cones the same as a blue light will, and it won't keep you awake as much. So mad interesting thing is red light district, right? We know what red light district is.
Oh, I don't know what that is, guy. I don't know what that is.
So isn't it interesting that they naturally adapted to using red light without probably knowing the science? But there's a reason why they did that, and that's because it didn't destroy people's sleep cycles. Really interesting, right?
Well, the red light district is definitely destroying people's sleep cycles.
No, different mechanism, guy. They get tired afterwards. It's okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you mentioned deep sleep. I believe, is that the REM cycle, rapid eye movement cycle, when you're in a deepest?
Two different. So REM, rapid eye movement, is one phase of sleep, and then deep sleep is below that.
Really?
There's many different stages of sleep, each with their own sort of uses and benefits. And sleep isn't about getting into one and just staying there. Most sleep is like moving through them, if that makes sense, sort of like a wave.
Yeah.
And different stages have different benefits or different, like different mechanisms through the body, essentially. But you want a combination of all of them. Right? You just want to make sure you're getting adequate levels of all of the stages. Nice.
Those Christmas fireworks, bro, you know.
Oh, I know what that is.
Yeah. It's not gunshots, thank God. Yeah. Dude. So like a few months ago, we had a new neighbor move into this building. Like he's like maybe 8 houses down. And one night he was just partying and he pulled out a handgun and he shot it up into the air. Dude, it scared the fucking shit out of me, man. Like I was so sure that it was a gun, because the sound was like deep. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a firework. It was like, dude, that was a fucking gun. And so I was worried for a moment, and then, you know, like you didn't hear any more gunshots. The next day we find out, yeah, exactly that. The buddy was just on his balcony partying and wanted to fire off his fucking gun. Yeah.
Nice guy. Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't use it for anything else.
Since then he's left. I don't know if that was the thing that, you know, maybe got him kicked out because he was renting the place, or maybe it was some other shit. But I imagine it would be. If you're a dude that's firing off a gun on your balcony, you're probably a horrible tenant in general. So yeah. So who the fuck knows what happened to that guy?
Okay, so back to sleep, right? We'll wrap the sleep up. So the phases of sleep are all important, right? And the thing you want to look out for is, are you getting them all? Are you getting them all adequately? And if you're missing out on some, what could you do to improve the probability that you're going to get what you need? Okay, and so there's different things, and what we can put some of that in the document. I'll put a doc together for it, and we can put some tips and tricks for the different phases.
Yo, that sounds wicked. So 1 hour and a half minimum of REM cycle to get like the best quality sleep possible. Is that what the I believe I read that. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that I don't know if the numbers, like I think they're all going to have to be ranges for different people. And I think it's like with all things, I think it's very personal in terms of what you actually require. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. They all have different benefits and, effects on the body or in the body, right? And so I think it's highly dependent on you as a person, what you require and what's beneficial for you and what you're trying to achieve. So, and I don't also, the other thing too is like any watch or ring that tells you you're getting X amount of this and X amount of that, it's an approximation. It's not 100% accurate, and there's a lot of variance in in how they measure it. Like they're using how much you're moving as a measurement. The only way to really tell is to get a full brain scan while you're sleeping. But then even getting a brain scan while you're sleeping is going to interfere in some way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's that environment. Like imagine being in a room with a thing hooked up to your head. Yeah.
Well, and waves too. Like it's reading you, and so that's waves. Your brain's producing waves. Those waves are interacting. Like we're an electrical being essentially, and so that other electrical fields around is going to influence. And that's why I don't have these on. I don't turn them on and go to sleep. I don't want that. I don't want that. And I typically don't use these headphones. I use headphones that don't have any battery or anything electrical in them, and they've got a wool cup. Right. So I'm a natural fiber guy. Like I really prefer to have natural fibers. So yeah, I try not to. I'm traveling at the moment, so it's just easier to bring these. But yeah.
Nice. You also mentioned that your last meal is before sunset. Can you go over a little bit about why you decided to do that?
So when I was younger, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, which is essentially like an inflammatory bowel disease. And they told me that I would have this for the rest of my life and that I was going to have all these problems. I would not be able to absorb nutrients and I would, struggle with all this other stuff. Can't have dairy, can't have gluten, can't have all this crap. And I would have to take tablets for the rest of my life. And I was like, I don't think I want that to be my life. Like, if that doesn't sound fun to me. And so I really started to try and learn about digestion. And it's interesting about the gut. If you, like when you sleep is ideally when your body repairs things in your body. Like when you're not moving and when you're lying in bed at night sleeping is when your body can repair itself. Okay. Now, if you go to bed and you have a full stomach, your body will spend time and energy digesting the food before it goes off and repairs. Okay, so if I can go to bed with little to no food in my stomach, then that means my body can repair itself overnight. And so one thing that I used to do when I was younger or growing up and was diagnosed with the ulcerative colitis and Crohn's is my last meal would always be my biggest meal. All right, so dinner would always be the biggest meal, and I typically go to bed on a full stomach. And I had all that inflammatory bowel problems. All right, and so since I've stopped doing that, I don't have any of those things. I don't take any medication. I don't have any symptoms of ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, and it's not there. And I can eat what I like to eat and what agrees with my body, but I don't make those emotional decisions. I eat what nourishes me and what my body loves, like what agrees with me, so to speak. But the variety of foods that agree with me now has increased because my gut is able to repair at nighttime. So I've noticed a huge improvement in my immune system and how I feel. I don't have that ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease anymore. And then on top of that, it's fantastic for fat loss, right? Because if your body is not busy digesting at nighttime, it's busy repairing and burning calories. And I'm pretty sure it could be plus or minus 5 or 10%, but I'm pretty sure 70% of all your calories are burnt at rest at night when you're sleeping. So it's actually like sleeping is incredible for fat loss. Like getting good quality sleep on it, like on a relatively empty stomach, is fantastic for fat loss.
Do you benefit from probiotics?
I have done probiotics previously, but I don't take antibiotics. Right? Like I just don't take them. I don't get sick. I don't have any use for any of those things. And so I don't specifically take probiotic supplements. I do eat some fermented foods, like I enjoy kimchi. I enjoy kefir yogurt. Like, so we make our own kefir yogurt. I enjoy sauerkraut and other fermented products like that. But outside of that, I don't. I love blueberries and raw organic milk made with kefir. So like a blueberry kefir. Oh my God, it is like the best yogurt drink you've ever had. Unbelievable. But no, I don't specifically supplement with store-bought or tablet prebiotics. I have previously, but I just don't have a need for it anymore.
Probiotics, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I eat fermented food, which is going to have some probiotics on it. But outside of that, I don't actively supplement with store-bought ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the store-bought one supplements might have gotten better, but there's a huge issue with them is that the actual bacterial culture that's alive, it's hard to say what the shelf life of that is when it's in a supplement format. So whether or not it has the recommended dose to get the benefits is up for question in a lot of the supplements. However, I think supplements have gotten better. For example, you need between 10 billion to 15 billion per CFU, per like unit, right? So the concentration essentially is important. However, again, whether or not they survive in the capsule form or in a supplement form is up for question.
And also, do they survive your stomach acid, right? Like, can they actually survive the stomach acid and get into the gut? So my thinking on this, and this comes from learning the Wolfram model and different things like this fundamental physics kind of stuff is, to me, what's really powerful is creating the space for things to thrive or not thrive, okay? And so if you treat your body in a certain way, you will create the space for certain bacteria to flourish. Okay, so if you create a toxic environment, toxic bacteria are going to flourish. If you create a healthful environment, then I believe the healthful bacteria will survive, will dominate, right? And so I try to I select foods based on their ability to nourish my body, and then I move my body. I do all of these other things to make sure that the space within me, so to speak, or the space on me is conducive to the more beneficial bacteria. So I try and create a space for them to thrive, and I try to constrain the space for the bad ones to survive. And that's sort of my philosophy with the whole thing. And I think supplements can be useful to help kickstart one of those processes if you do have an imbalance. But largely, we should base it off lifestyle choices and what we're eating to help promote good bacteria or better bacteria in our bodies, as opposed to relying on supplements to do it. Yeah.
In terms of probiotics, I have a very similar perspective on it. We also consume kefir, and we have a water-based kefir as well.
I love the water-based one, guy.
Yeah.
Have you ever done it with apple juice?
No, we do it with panela. It's like a natural, I believe it's derived from cane sugar, but I'm not 100% sure. So what they do is they I don't know if they process the cane sugar, but they do something with it, and they get like this solid brownish thing. that's called Panela. I can actually go grab some and show you if you like.
Is it made out of cane juice?
I'm not sure if it's made out of cane juice. I mean, I'm assuming it is. I haven't looked too much into it, but basically we feed it that. So it has it's like a natural sugar. So it just
yeah.
No,
but it's delicious, right?
It's not bad, dude. It's not bad. But like the yogurt that you're speaking of, that's dope. I love the kefir yogurt. Yeah, it's really good.
So I highly recommend, and you can use some of your sugar to help this, right? Is get yourself some apple juice, okay, and use your water kefir grains to make an apple juice flavored kefir. And I shit you not, it is like when I've done it. And I used to do this all the time. Like I used to love drinking this. I used to drink like half a liter a day. And this was part of my initial gut repair process. But I also used to eat crappy other sort of food that didn't agree with me as much. So, anyway, it was kind of like balancing it out. I used to get the apple juice and I'd get a small amount of cane juice, like actual cane juice. There used to be a shop down the road from me where they would have the cane sugar stalks and they just like juice it and you could get like a fresh cup of cane juice. Pretty delicious, but I would use it plus apple juice. So very similar to what you could do. Okay. And then I would ferment the kefir grains in there. And I shit you not, it tasted like the greatest apple cider you've ever had. And it's effervescent, like it's sparkling.
See, that's what I was assuming it would be like apple cider, right? Because it's like it tastes very acidic when you drink the kefir water or the milk or the yogurt that you're speaking of. Like it's It is kind of acidic. I was looking at a lot of probiotic supplements recently because like our family here, we decided to I'm sometimes forgetting words in English, bro. It's fun speaking Spanish because I'm speaking Spanish like 99% of my days now, right? Basically, it's like this pill. You take it and it's supposed to get rid of it's an anti-parasitic medication. So in South America, from time to time, you should fudge that.
Absolutely. And worms, Guy. Looking out for parasites and worms is an important thing, especially, in certain areas of the world.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's essentially why we're like big on probiotics. Is because we feel that doing the anti-parasitic medication could change because like basically what we want in our gut is a combination of good and bad bacteria, but we want them to be like, at good levels, right?
Correct.
So
you can't get rid of bad bacteria. What you can actually do is just promote the growth of good bacteria, and that shrinks the percentage of bad. That's all you're really trying to do.
Right. I actually didn't know that detail. That's a nice detail. I didn't know that. That's what actually was occurring.
Yeah, good and bad is like not really. What it is too higher levels of certain bacteria will always end up being bad. And so what you're really looking for is a balance between them all. And there are certain bacteria that you definitely don't want in your body, and you want to try and disincentivize them from being able to grow. Like Candida and things like that. But you can just starve them. Like if you don't eat sugars for a period, the Candida doesn't have food to live, and so therefore it will die out. Another mad thing that we can tie this back to light quickly is, again, your skin is transparent. So getting out in the sun and getting your shirt off and having your gut in the sun really helps with the bacterial stuff, right? Like it disincentivizes certain bacteria to grow because it's being exposed to light. Like, light is one of the greatest disinfectants we have, like mold doesn't grow in the sun kind of thing, like the sun is a sterilizer in a way. And so that's also important, is actually just getting your whole skin in the sun too.
Wow. I didn't even put that one together, that it would have the potential to do that. That's super interesting. And it rationally makes sense.
Yeah.
The sun on the gut thing. That's cool as fuck.
Weird thing about bacteria as well, we don't have bacteria in us, right? Except for our mitochondria. Our mitochondria joined up with, it's a bacteria that joined up with us as organisms a long, long time ago, like millions of years. But we actually hold bacteria on us. So all the bacteria that's in your gut or in your gastrointestinal tract isn't inside your body, right? It's on the outside of your body, because your inside of your gut is an external facing surface. Like if I pulled my gut out from my mouth, all of the surface would be facing outwards. It's the exterior. So we actually hold bacteria on us. We hold it in our mouths, which is on us as well. Okay, and it's external. Like the inside of your mouth is externally facing. Yeah, in your nose and behind your eyes, massive amounts of bacteria. And so periodically doing some inhales, you can do them with hydrogen peroxide, or you can do them with salt or salt and hydrogen peroxide plus iodine, can be very beneficial as well for sort of resetting or taking away some of that bacterial load.
This is panela, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is what it looks like. And if you put it in water, it doesn't dissolve right away. It's best dissolved in boiling water first. Yeah. But if you leave it in the water or with the kefir, the water kefir, for enough time, like it will dissolve. Well, like, I'm not sure how long it takes. But.
Well, the cool thing about that is, like, why in the kefir does it dissolve a bit better? Well, it's because the bacteria are literally going and getting the sugars and eating them.
That's right, yeah.
They help break it down. That's okay. So what are bacteria really? Well, bacteria are tiny little machines that help do stuff for us, or are parasitic to us and are taking advantage of the fact that we provide this awesome enclosure and that they can live on us and eat for free, essentially. Yeah? But like that's what they are. They're tiny little machines. So some bacteria actually help produce vitamin K in the human body. Some bacteria help produce B vitamins, right? They actually, a byproduct of some of the bacteria in our body is they produce B vitamins as their sort of metabolic waste. And so all of these things can be beneficial, you know, like that's benefits of bacteria. So yeah, there's levels of bacteria that benefit us and there's levels that don't benefit us.
You mentioned that you begin to breathe when you're preparing for sleep. You do breath works, and then you imagine your toes and like your toes kind of like
relaxing, melting.
Yeah, relaxing. And then you do that with your whole body sort of thing. What else are you thinking about during your meditation? Because I imagine that that's one part of your meditation process, but is there something else beforehand that you think about as well?
Yeah, so if it's earlier on in the evening, it'll be what are the three, or what's the most important thing that I need to do tomorrow?
Oh, right.
So that's one. And then once like literally, it's the weirdest thing, but I'll prompt myself with that sort of thought, and then it just pops into my head, bang, and then I write it down, okay? And then I go, next thing, what's the next most important thing I need to do? Bang, pops in, then I write it down. And I just give myself 3 things to do in the day. Right. And once I've done those 3 things, I'm free. The rest of the day is mine. So I do that each night before I go to bed, so that the next day I have a direction. I have focus. I have my set of goals. Right. And then after I do that at nighttime, so once I've got them written down, my meditation is either doing that body check where I'm going over my body, or an interesting concept that I'm thinking about or trying to understand. And so I really like. I'm a big believer in once you minimize the incoming signals into the body, you can really explore possibility space. And in the mind, you can do things that you can't do in the physical realm, right? So I can fly through the universe. I can do all sorts of crazy stuff. And I will say that since doing this with my meditation, exploring ideas, or just not thinking of anything, right? Sometimes I just don't think of anything. I just focus on my breathing, right? So it can vary. But since doing this practice, especially with the breath work and some of that priming my mind with ideas before I go to sleep, I have lucid dreams very often. And so if you're not familiar with lucid dreams, or people aren't familiar, a lucid dream is when you are sort of consciously aware and able to control your dream or control your behavior within your dream to a certain degree. So it's essentially like, creating your own adventure when you have a lucid dream. And so I lucid dream quite often, and I problem solve, or I try and think about something I've been thinking about and try and solve that problem in an abstract way in my dream, or I explore the universe, or like all sorts of crazy stuff. A lot of the time it ends up motorbike riding, which is funny.
That's dope. That's actually cool.
And there's certain things. So there's a list of supplements you can take that will also have been shown to help facilitate lucid dreaming. So we can put some of them in that sleep guide as well.
What foods do you for sure stay away from if you're trying to get a good night's sleep?
Okay, so I definitely avoid caffeine after 12 p.m. So after, so you got 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Okay, so after midday, no more caffeine for me. I won't have chocolate in the evening. So at least 3 or 4 hours before bed, I try and avoid chocolate. Chocolate has a compound called theobromine, which can be can function as a stimulant. I will, so no caffeine, no chocolate in the evenings. I try and avoid alcohol, right? Well, I typically don't drink alcohol anyway, but I definitely notice that if I had like a red wine or something like that, my sleep quality is not as good. So I avoid those kinds of things. And anything that's very heavy, like hard to digest, I'll try and avoid. But outside of that, that's pretty much my general rule. And depending on the time of the year, like in winter and stuff, I would try and stay away from like fruit and things in the evening. But in summer, I tend to have a little bit more because the days are longer. And I don't know, it's just kind of nice to have some chilled fruit in the afternoon.
On occasion, do you find yourself hungry before going to sleep?
Yeah, sometimes, definitely. Typically then I'll just have like a bit of water, but I also try and minimize water consumption before bed because I found that drinking a lot of water before bed typically used to make me wake up and want to go to the bathroom. So I try and get, bulk of my water done earlier in the day and then minimize or like reduce the water consumption coming into the evening. But sometimes I definitely get hungry in the night, but I'm not trying to get big anymore. I'm trying to shrink now. And so back in the day, I'd be like, I've got to eat. If I'm hungry, I've got to eat, bro. Got to get my calories. Can't go catabolic, bro. Can't go catabolic. So now though, what I'll do is I'll embrace the hunger, right? And so for me, it's being hungry. I go, well, fantastic. My body's clearly not got anything in its digestive system. So tonight when I sleep, my body's going to be able to repair way better and my gut will repair because there's nothing in there to digest. It can get straight to repairing. So I'll have a better night's sleep. And I just tell myself that stuff. I believe it. I think it in my mind. And so therefore it ends up happening.
Dude, that is commitment. That's, congratulations, bro. Because food is one thing that I struggle dominating sometimes. Like if I'm hungry, I'll fucking eat, dude. Like I'll even, if I get up or if it's just right before bed and I'm hungry, I'll eat like a full-fledged meal and go to sleep right away. There's been times where I ate like 3 fucking hamburgers and laid down literally right after.
That's an insulin coma. Right?
Yeah,
you are literally, you're full rest and digest, right? So when if you eat a lot of food, your body does switch into that rest and digest mode, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but you're at a different phase to me, right? Like you're actually still like you wanting to build more muscle, aren't you?
I'm trying to maintain what I have, and I keep wanting to like lose a little bit of fat, but we had an interesting conversation on an earlier podcast. I think it was like maybe episode 4 or 5. So you guys should go check out that podcast. But
definitely,
basically, what we talked about was that what were we just talking about? It slipped my mind.
You're trying to maintain, keep the same, but you're also trying to lose a bit of fat.
Yeah. So you mentioned that because I'm working so much that it's probably a bad idea to try and also do a diet on top of that. So I'm just gonna, just maintain, not worry too much about that, but obviously try and eat as naturally and healthy as possible, which I've successfully done. I mean, it's simple, right? We just stay away from the inside of the grocery store. We only do shopping on the outside.
And it's just a big difference.
Yeah, it's just basically no box shit, no frozen shit, just all natural fruits and vegetables, meat, rice, beans. We eat a shit ton of beans here, lentils. I fucking love lentils. Garbanzo beans. There's another name for them. Can't remember.
We'll do a whole pod on beans.
Yeah, dude. Yo, beans are dope.
Okay, so I have a slight disagreement with you, but we can discuss why.
Right? Oh, nice. I like this.
Yeah. So look, don't get me wrong. They've got protein and calories, and for a good percentage of the world's population, they're an important food group, right? Are they a superior form of nutrition? I don't think so. Are there some downsides with consuming too many beans? Absolutely. But we can go through, we can discuss and look at all of that. And there's ways to mitigate some of the harm that can come from beans, like soaking in brine and then boiling and making sure you do all those kinds of things helps to get rid of some of the stuff that can be a bit harmful. But yeah, we will. Diversity is important, right? Having a diverse amount of stuff, but just making sure that your body's nourished is the most important thing. One interesting thing, so with what you're saying is you could just do a small test, right? So you could just eat the same amount of calories, but try and eat your last meal an hour or two earlier than you normally do, and then see what happens to your body composition. So same calories, just different timing, right? So finish your last meal earlier, and you could do that for 2 weeks and see what happens to your body composition. I would bet that you will lose fat.
Yeah, you do burn most of your fat during your sleep. So I could see that your body is not trying to digest food. It's concentrating more on recuperating and releasing hormones and sort of,
but yeah,
reducing fat. Yeah, I that's a good tip. That's a good tip. It's just like, dude, like I haven't dominated the food completely yet, man. It's fucking hard, bro. Like I'm like addicted to food. Like I finally stopped because I got bad into eating like fast food, especially 2 years ago. But since then I've, but sometimes, what's that? You
improved your ways?
Yeah, a lot. Like I wasn't only eating fast food, but definitely more than I should have been. And fast food is like the one thing that like sometimes like I'll like think about it, you know what I mean? Like it's on my mind and like fuck, like I need to eat McDonald's, but like, man, fuck McDonald's. I bet you those motherfuckers have a team of scientists combining shit to make it addictive and then selling it to us. Those greasy piece of shit motherfuckers. I know it for sure. There's going to be a documentary that's going to come out in the future, and they're going to tell secret ingredients of McDonald's more addictive than heroin. It's going to be some bullshit.
Right. It's not even an ingredient, right? It's the absence of certain ingredients. Okay, so how do you're right. They do have teams of food scientists literally designing food to be hyper palatable, okay, or cause big releases of dopamine, right? And the way that they've done it, the way that they hacked the system is typically calories would come with nutrition, okay? So calories is the energy content. Nutrition is the building blocks and the vitamins and minerals and the things that we need, right? So energy is one aspect, and then the nutrition is the other aspect. So typically when you eat certain amounts of calories, you get a certain amount of nutrition. What they've done with fast food is they've taken the nutrition out, right? Pulled the nutrition out and increased the calories, okay? So you're now getting food that's hyper palatable, so high in calories, but low in nutrition. So you're overfed with calories and you're undernourished. So we have an abundance of calories, but we have a lack of nutrition. Okay, and so when you eat a McDonald's burger or you eat one of these fast food burgers, right? When you first bite it, you go, oh, delicious, right? Ooh. But as soon as you're done, you still kind of feel a bit hungry, right? Because you're not nourished, but you've got all of those calories, but hardly any of the nutrition. So your body remains starving fundamentally. And then on top of that, they use food scientists to develop food, combinations of fat and sugars and different things to make that food elicit such an addicting response in your brain that your brain craves these things. And there's literally teams of scientists who get paid huge amounts of money to do this against you, the consumer. So it's like you versus a company. And that's just an asymmetrical space, right? It's David versus Goliath, yeah. But you don't have your slingshot, right? You just don't have it, kind of thing. But that's literally what it's like. It's really bad. But that's, again, it's hyper palatable food, man. It's really dangerous because we haven't really had it. Like, when in evolutionary history have we had food that was designed by people to be hyper addicting?
Yeah, absolutely. I like that David versus Goliath, but without the
we've got no slingshot.
Slingshot, that's it.
Yeah. So the slingshot, right? Let's do an analogy. So the slingshot is learning about nutrition. What are calories and what is nutrition? What does it mean to nourish the human body? What is essential for us as humans to ingest regularly to maintain a healthful body, a body that can do all of the things that it needs to do, all of the metabolic processes, all of the repairs that it needs to do? What is essential to eat, right? That's why we eat food, is because we can't make everything within us. We have to get some things from the external environment, and they're called essential nutrients. So understanding what's essential, understanding what you might be deficient in, and then nourishing your body with that stuff. That's how we solve a lot of these problems, and that's your slingshot against Goliath. That's how you take Goliath down.
That's like a bazooka right there, dude.
Yeah, guy. Yeah. Modern age. Yeah, anti-aircraft system. One
thing I definitely cannot do before I go to sleep is eat lots of carbs. Like, really? I can get away with, if I eat like a food high in carbs, I find that I don't get as good of a sleep. But if I eat, like, my last meal is mostly protein and vegetables, like, turkey is a great thing. Like, that's a great suggestion because of the tryptophan, like you mentioned earlier. So turkey and vegetables is like a really good, like, last meal for me, and I can get away with eating it, like, right before bed and getting a good sleep still.
That's cool. That's interesting. So for a lot of people, carbs help before bed, or for a percentage of people. Yeah, absolutely. I know that like I've done some work with women who are going through menopause.
Yeah.
And high protein and fat before bed makes their bodies really hot at nighttime. So protein, because it's got that thermic effect, right? You can eat too much protein before bed, you can change your body temperature. I should mention too, the reason I do the warm shower or the hot shower before bed is so that my blood gets pumped to my peripheral, and that cools your core temperature down. So by having a warm shower at night, it helps you lower your body temperature as you go to sleep, and temperature is really important when you sleep. Anyway, but yeah, so eating too much protein and fat for some women going through menopause can cause their body temperature to rise while they're trying to get to sleep, and that can impede their sleep or their sleep cycle. And sometimes for them, having a little bit of carbs before bed helps to calm the glial cells in the brain and helps them to get a deeper night's sleep. But not a lot, just a bit of carbs before bed. Like if they're typically doing a lower carb diet.
Interesting. So it's possible that I was just overeating carbs and I never experimented with having a low carb. You know what I mean?
The truth comes out. Just gorging.
Oh, dude, if I say I'm eating or I'm having a meal, dude, it's a fucking meal, dude. And if it's not, I'll go look for something else. But I've never experimented with a low carb. I mean, the only time I did.
You go.
The only time I did was when I was injecting myself with a crazy amount of fucking steroids preparing for a show. But like, you can't fucking sleep anyways. You know what I mean? Because you're on so much fucking juice and dieting, so it's not hard to sleep anyway. So that doesn't count. But other than that, I haven't really experimented with like a moderate low carb meal before bedtime. I'm gonna try that.
Can speak on that. I can speak on it. So deep into a diet, like when I've been really low body fat, a little bit of carbs as my last meal would help my sleep quality big time. But again, all of these things, like it's about finding what works for you. Like there is no goals, there's like no right and wrong specifically. It's like what works for you, and then you can start to try and figure out why if you really want to. But at the end of the day, just do what works. But like, overeating is never a good idea before bed. Right? I think that definitely impedes sleep quality, as well as sometimes if you're chronically undereating, like if you fast a lot, fasting is stressful as well. Okay, so it's a balance. It's always a balance. You got to find the balance, and the balance point will change throughout your life. That's a big one. But yeah, deep in a diet for bodybuilding, on like chronically like lower calories and lower carb, like when you're really shredded, a little bit of carbs as your last meal or with your last meal made a huge difference for my sleep quality. It would help me sleep because, like you mentioned, sleep can be shit in a prep. And I think that's part of, starving, so to speak.
Interesting. Yeah, I get it for the thermogenic effect. And I also heard that having like a hot shower or even going to a sauna for extended period of time can be good before, like at nighttime before going to bed as well. Yeah. Ice in the morning.
Yeah. Warm at night. And that's another thing, like getting up. So how you sleep, what you do in the morning impacts how you'll sleep the next night or that night. And so making sure when you wake up to get that sun in your eyes, like natural sun in your eyes and on your skin, and practicing some breathing in the morning really helps with sleep in the evening, right? The more light you get in your eyes early, the easier it is for your body to know the contrast between the morning and the nighttime, right? Because the morning, if you get lots of light in your eyes, your body can go, oh, this is morning because we get all this light. And then when the light disappears, your body can know, oh, it's nighttime because there's an absence of light. Therefore, we should get ready for sleep. But like you mentioned, devices and things like that can really throw that system out of whack. Like a lot of people might wake up, stay inside, not get a lot of natural light, and then start working on their computer in the afternoon all the way through the night. And their body's like, what the fuck? Is it day or night? I don't know. Like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, light really does make a big difference as well as temperature.
So I challenge everyone out there to try and follow some of the tips or things that Ruben does. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody because we're all individuals and different things work for different people. However, you can experiment with some of the things Ruben has mentioned during this podcast if you really want to improve your sleep, because sleep is so important for emotions and for recovering everything. However, you have to learn how your body works because everyone's different. So you're going to have to, try certain things, not everything all at once, see what works, see what doesn't, and keep on tweaking things and really pay attention until you get your formula for your body. Correct.
As Cat Williams would say, you got to try some shit, don't work. Try some shit, don't work until you find what works, right? Like that's the main takeaway. Yeah. But like the other thing too is like if you if any of the issues that you might be experiencing are issues that I've mentioned that I've had or anything else, feel free to drop in comments as well, right? So like we can spitball ideas, right? We'll put together a doc. We'll put the doc with this podcast, and so you can read through that doc and try some of the things. But yeah, it's all about balance and finding what works for you. That really is the main takeaway, and understanding that there are a lot of things you can try, and that if you aren't getting the best quality sleep, that's not how you're always going to be. That's just a moment in time. And if you want to have good quality sleep, you can. First, you've got to decide that that's what you want, and then find the path to get there. And there's many paths. There's many, many, many paths, like in quantum mechanics, right?
Absolutely.
No, you want to
bro. Yeah, I saw that you got up, and so your body language told me, all right, like you got to go to lunch now, or no, dinner, no, lunch.
No, I got up because I was sweating a freaking sweat angel into the pillows because it's so hot. It is so hot here, and I was just like, yeah. I don't want my bed to be wet tonight.
Yo, I sweat a lot too, bro. I understand, man.
It's humid here, man. The coast is humid. We live up in the mountains where it's just like beautiful, like icy mornings. Yeah. It's a very different temperature, but I'm embracing it. I love it. It's a good detox for the body. Get that sweat happening. I'll stay hydrated. Merry Christmas, Guy. Good to see you.
Merry Christmas, bro. You
Have
too.
The best
Love
day
you,
tomorrow.
Dude.
Say hi to all the fam. Love you too. Say hi to all the fam and to all the viewers and listeners. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share the video.
Rip us to shreds. Call us idiots. That's what we like.
Yeah, exactly. All right, dude.
Peace, guys.
Peace.
Have a great night.
Love you, Guy. You too. Love you, bro. Peace.